Hello and welcome to Top Story. French President Nicolas Sarkozy heads for Moscow today and a potentially tough encounter with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. Sarkozy says he doesn't intend to mince his words with Russia, and the evidence so far is that he means it. In an address to France's ambassadors in August, he accused Russia of brutal bullying in the way it used its oil and gas reserves to threaten its neighbours. And in the Bulgarian capital Sofia last week, he accused Russia of complicating the world's problems. He said Moscow should understand that big countries have not only rights, but also responsibilities. Among the issues Sarkozy may raise are Russia's opposition to independence for Kosovo, its reluctance to back US and European calls for tougher sanctions against Iran, and Moscow's tense relationship with Georgia, which makes no secret of its determination to join NATO. Sarkozy has also been a sharp critic of Russia's record on human rights. Well, joining me now to discuss the French president's visits to Russia is Nikolai Paklin, Paris correspondent of the Russian newspaper Rossiyskaya Gazeta. Thanks very much for being on Top Story. We could start off with the message that President Sarkozy is sending to Vladimir Putin. He's saying, in effect, Russia is a major power. That's clear, but has to start acting more responsibly on the world stage. Is that a message, do you think, that Vladimir Putin will take kindly?
I think on the first that it is a very important visit of a new president of France, Sarkozy, in Moscow. It is first trip to Moscow. Of course, he met Putin. They discussed some problems. But now it is an official visit. And this visit has been very good prepared, I think. No? And it is talking about the meeting of two top leaders in the Europe and in the world too. And we wait the results, real results of these talks in Moscow, because till now has been only some declaration. You remembered this declaration of Mr. Sarkozy after his coming from his American vacations and meeting with President Bush, yes. And he told of this certain brutality which with the Russia used its natural energy resources. This declaration provoked some surprise in Russia because our relationship, economical relationship with France, for example, in the energy field with Total, with Gaz de France, till now has been very good.
Very good, but he was talking about the way Russia uses its energy resources with its close neighbors, Ukraine, Belarus, Georgia.
It is absolutely as a problem, because before, in the time of the Soviet Union, when this accords has been done, has been Soviet Union. And now we have a lot of republics, independent countries, among old Soviet republics or among old socialist countries. And these relatively small countries provoked some difficulties with our transport of gas and oil in Europe. Because before it was directly, practically, and now we need to cross the territories of these countries. And from point of view of political interest, perhaps economical interest, some of these countries.
Nicolas Sarkozy has also been quite outspokenly critical of Russia's record on human rights. Do you think that's likely to be an issue in the talks with Vladimir Putin?
Of course, it's possible, because nobody knows exactly what kind of problems would be raised in the talks of presidents. They are free in this problem to raise this problem.
Let me rephrase the question. How does Russia respond to that sort of criticism when it comes from the French leader?
You see, we are not agreed with all this criticism in human rights, because Russia is developing it's nation of human rights. We have really some freedoms, no? Freedoms of expression, of elections, no? And some problems, of course, we have in Caucasus, in Chechnya, in Ingushetia, but it is talking about the struggle against terrorism. You need to understand that it is some terrorists not only in these republics, but from other Arab countries.
Apart from Russia's internal affairs, France's, in particular Nicolas Sarkozy, has expressed some concern about Russia's foreign policy, in particular on the issue of Kosovo, the independence of which is supported by France, the United States, Great Britain, amongst others, but not, it seems, by Russia. Is that likely to be a sticking point between the French and the Russians?
Of course, our point of views are not the same in a lot of international problems. No? For example, Kosovo. Kosovo, it is a part of Serbia. It is not like before separation of republics, I don't know, Bosnia and Herzegovina, no? It was republic. And Kosovo a part of one of these former Yugoslavian republics. No? And to proclaim independence of Kosovo, it is, I think, very dangerous way which will open the possibility of separatist proclamation of independence.
One other big issue that's likely to come up is the question of Iran. France, among others, thinks that Russia is being obstructive on the issue of sanctions to Iran and wants to understand why. Why is Russia being obstructive on the question of sanctions?
No, you see, on the first, Iran declared and manifest till now his only peaceful energy intention. And it is talking not about the armament. And Russia, of course, like majority of the countries, for the development of peaceful using of atom for energy production. And now a lot of countries, not only Iran, declared that they would do this policy.
I'm going to have to interrupt you there, I'm afraid. That's all we have time for today. Thanks to Nikolai Paklin of Rossiyskaya Gazeta. Join us again for another edition of Top Story tomorrow. Goodbye.
Story, the program dedicated to international news, was brought to you by Le Monde.